You're listening to Psych to Parent, where we turn brain science into tiny wins at home. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, mom of two, and endurance athlete. I love a good data set and a diagnostic manual. But I also forget permission slips, overthink IEP emails, and occasionally replay the moment I snapped at my kids in the car. In other words, I'm in the messy middle with you, not above it. This show is for parents of big feeling, big thinking kids who are tired of vague advice and Pinterest perfect behavior charts. Each episode, I'll pull back the curtain on what I see in real evaluations, school meetings, my private practice, and my own kitchen, and translate the research into simple scripts, tiny routines, and nervous system friendly tweaks you can actually use. Think of it as a nervous system rehab meets mindset coaching meets a smart, slightly spicy, non-judgy friend in your earbuds. We'll take one real life challenge at a time and shrink it down into 1 or 2 tiny wins you can start this week. No perfection, no 47-step sticker systems, just small, repeatable shifts that add up over time. Quick legal-ish note in plain English. This podcast is for education and support. It's not therapy, it does not create a clinical relationship, and it's not a substitute for personalized medical or mental health advice. If you're worried about your child's safety or mental health, or your own, please reach out to a trusted professional. Okay, deep breath, drop your shoulders. You're not behind and you're not alone. Let's get psyched to parent. It's 3:08 p.m. in the school pickup line, and the stuck task was writing one sentence about his weekend, something his teacher had described as, he just won't do it. But in the car, he gripped the pencil so hard his knuckles went white. He stared at the blank line and said, quiet and flat, I don't know how to start. My brain doesn't have the first word. And my chest did that quick squeeze of, oh, this isn't defiant. Because the second we switched the demand from write it to tell it, he gave a full detailed story in 10 seconds. Same kid, same topic, same expectation. But the moment we removed the performance load, handwriting, spelling, working memory, it was obvious. It wasn't motivation. This was a skills bottleneck. And if you're parenting a strong-willed, big-hearted kiddo, you know how fast a bottleneck can turn into a battle. Hey, I'm Dr. Amy, school psychologist and parent coach, and this is Psych to Parent, brain-based supports for parents of strong-willed, big-feeling, big-hearted kiddos. In this episode, we're talking about one of the most important questions you can ask in the middle of a hard moment. Is this a won't do issue or is this a can't do? Because if we misread can't as won't, we usually reach for pressure and consequences and it backfires. And if we misread won't as can't, we can accidentally turn into full-time scaffolding staff in our own home. Also not ideal. So here's what you're walking away with from today's episode. 3 clues that it's can't, not won't. A quick way to stop debating intent and start being a detective. A school psych in your back pocket segment that shows you how we assess this in plain English. A school translator minute you can use when a teacher says, he just won't do it. Parent scripts you can try tonight. And tiny wins for this week that don't require a personality transplant. Let's do some messy middle honesty here. It can be really hard, especially when we're dysregulated, to interpret a kid's behavior as anything other than, are they doing this on purpose? Why is my kid doing this to me? And if you're parenting a strong-willed kid, it's even harder because the behavior can look so intentional. But here's the reframe that changes everything. Before you decide it's won't, ask, do they not know? Or can they not do it in this format, in this moment? Because a lot of won't moments are actually unclear instructions and feelings of overwhelm. Like, go clean your room. Clean. How? Do you mean pick up dirty clothes, put them in the hamper, make the bed, put books on the bookshelf, bring cups to the kitchen, put clothes on the chair into the dresser? It makes it tricky for kids. Honestly, it also makes it tricky for adults. So here's a tool I want you to start using. The camera test. The camera test. If someone could film what you mean, it's clear. If they couldn't film it, it's because it's too vague. It needs a translation. Clean your room fails the camera test. Put dirty clothes in the hamper and bring your dishes to the kitchen. That passes the camera test. And strong-willed kids, they don't do well with vague. Not because they're trying to be difficult, because vague creates load and load creates getting stuck. Here's the brain science and a why behind the behavior and why this matters. Sometimes a demand looks like a behavior, but underneath it's a load. Some tasks are heavy on performance, like handwriting, spelling, copying, starting something independently, holding ideas and working memory, planning what comes first. So your kid can know the thing and still not be able to show it in the format you're asking for. That's what happened in the pickup line. When the demand was write it, he froze. When the demand was tell it, the story came out instantly. Same kid, same content, different output. And when a kid's nervous system is stressed or the task feels too heavy, you can get that fight, flight, freeze behavior that looks like arguing and refusing, disappearing, stalling, the I have to go to the bathroom or I need a drink of water, blank staring, shutting down, or sudden silliness. So the real question is often, is my child able to access their skills right now? And is the task being asked in a way their brain can show? Okay, this is the part where I want you to feel my school psychology energy, kind of like I'm in your back pocket. Or I suppose I might even be in your earbud right now. In school psychology, we don't win by guessing intent. We don't win by debating whether the kid is, quote, motivated. We win by doing two things. One, getting a better hypothesis, and two, running a small practical test. So when someone says, he just won't do it, here's what I want you to do in your head instead. Step number 1, use the ABC snapshot. Just for clarity, A is antecedent. What happens right before the behavior? What time of day is it? Transition, independent work, a vague instruction, noise, rushing, audience. B is behavior. What does it look like specifically? Freeze, tear up, pencil joke mode, slide under the table, flat out refuse, wander around the house. C stands for consequence. What happens right after the behavior? Do they escape the task? Do adults step in? Does it turn into conflict? Does the demand get removed? Same refusal behavior can mean different things depending on the pattern. Step number 2, collect 4 data points for 1 week. If you want to sound clear and grounded with a school team, track these 4 things for a week. Number 1, latency. That looks at how long does it take them to get started. Number 2, prompt level. What support do they need? None, a reminder, step by step, adults help them get started. Number 3 is output condition. What format were they asked to use? Did they have to write something, type? Was it verbal, a sentence starter? Number 4, context. What were the conditions? Was it a rushed morning, after school? Were they hungry, tired? Was it noisy? Transition, having that do it perfectly kind of vibe. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. This is about getting the missing puzzle pieces. Step number 3, run a 1-week A/B test. Same content, but different format. Here's the simplest school psych move on earth. Condition A, same task, original format. For example, write the sentence. Here's condition B, same task, lighter output format. Maybe it's a verbal response, or there's a sentence starter, or they type it, or they tell it first. And then you compare. Does the work show up when the performance load changes? If the answer is yes, that's important information. It means we should stop treating it like a character issue and start treating it like a support skill access issue. Here's a script you can use when a teacher says, he just won't do it. I hear you, and I'm not trying to excuse it. At home, we're noticing that when the demand is heavy on performance, like writing, copying, starting independently, he can look like he won't, but it's often a can't in that format kind of moment. Could we try a quick check? where we change the output for the week. Let them give answers verbally, use sentence starters, or type instead of handwrite, and see if the work shows up. If that helps, it tells us we're dealing with a performance load issue, not motivation, and we can build the skill without the daily fight. And if you want one more line that helps schools collaborate, you can add this. We're happy to share what we notice at home and compare it to what you see at school, so we can match supports to the barrier. That's it. Calm, clear, not a novel. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Here are some real life scenarios that I hear about in my practice, because this doesn't just show up at school. There's after school. This is a peak looks like won't time. Your kid has held it together all day and now they're out of gas. So any demand, homework, chores, even tell me about your day can hit like a truck. Another time I see this pop up is homework and writing. Your kid can explain it out loud. They can tell the story. They can answer the questions verbally, but put a pencil in their hand and ask for one sentence and suddenly it's blank stare city. That's not you being too soft. That's performance load. It also can show up at bedtime. The routine becomes 47 delays. One more hug, one more question, one more, my sock seam is evil. Sometimes that's avoidance. Sometimes that's their nervous system revving up. The conditions matter. Chores, that's another place where we say things like clean your room, where when we say things like clean your room, it creates conflict until you translate it into the camera test steps. And then magically, it's still not fun, but it's doable. Transition and time pressure. Saturday morning, they can get dressed. On a school day, it's they can't find socks, they can't pick a shirt, they melt down when you rush them. That's a clue, and we'll get there. Here's a big feeling kid reframe and what your child's behavior might be trying to say. This reframe protects your relationship and it also makes you more effective. A lot of won't behavior is really stuck. It can sound like, I don't know how to start, or my brain doesn't have the first word, or this feels too big, or I can't do it in that format, or if I try and it's hard, I'm going to feel awful. And with strong-willed kids, feeling incompetent can show up as control. Not because they're trying to run your home like a tiny CEO, because control feels safer than shame. And here's your gentle hot take, and I want you to hear it clearly. If consequences were going to fix this, it would already be fixed. So when your kid is stuck, stop treating it like a character problem. They won't do it. And start treating it like capacity problem. They can't do it yet. And I'm going to add one more line to keep us grounded. We are not dropping expectations. We are changing the response mode so the skill can show up. And then we build from there. Here are 3 clues that change everything. Here are your 3 go-to clues for can't, not won't, plus what they look like. Clue number 1, the body gives it away. Stress signs show up fast. So tears, stiff posture, shallow breathing, blank face, or sudden silliness the second the demand hits, like the nervous system takes over. With this clue, you can say something like, just write your name at the top and here's a parent life example. You say, just write your name at the top and your kid's shoulders creep up, they snap the pencil, and they slide under the table. That's not a power play, that's overload. A detective question would be, what is their body telling me? Clue number 2, the skill appears in an easier format, but not the asked format. The clue can be, they can do the thinking when you change the output. Say it instead of write it. Point instead of explain. Choose instead of generate. Here's a real life parent example. Tell me 3 reasons dolphins are smart, and they talk your ear off. Write 3 reasons and they freeze. Same knowledge, different performance demand. You can ask this question. Can they do this if I change the output? Clue number 3. It's inconsistent in a predictable way. It fails under certain conditions. It's not random. It breaks when the task has extra load. Maybe it's time pressure, transitions, hunger, noise, multitasking, or that feeling of having to do it perfectly. Here's a real life parent example. They can get dressed on Saturday morning, but on school mornings, they can't find socks, can't decide on a shirt, and they melt down when you rush. The skill isn't missing. The conditions are tipping them over that coping threshold. Here's the detective question. When does it start to fall apart, and what's heavier? And here are 2 important reminders to keep you out of the power struggle. Behavior is communication, especially when the task is heavy. Also, we don't debate won't. Test what helps the skill show up for your kid. Here are some parenting scripts you can try right now. Use them as templates and say them like a human. We're not robots here. Script number 1, you can tell yourself. Detective mode. Okay, my brain wants to label this as won't. I'm going to look for clues, body, format, and see what I can find, and see what the clues tell me about my child's behavior. Script number 2 for your kid. Name the stuck and offer output options. I see you're getting stuck. I'm not mad at you. Do you want to tell it first, or do you want a sentence starter? Script number 3, the camera test. We want to make vague tasks doable. Clean your room is too big. Here's the camera version. Clothes in the hamper, dishes to the kitchen. Here's the camera version. Clothes in the hamper, dishes to the kitchen, then we'll check in. Script number 4, tasks still exist and help is real. This is where we want to hold boundaries and offer support. You can say, the task still exists, and I'm going to help you start. We'll do the first step together, then you keep going. Here are your tiny wins to try this week. These are experiments. They're not a new identity. Pick one is enough. Tiny win number 1, use the 3-clue checklist once per day. Check out the body, format, conditions. Tiny win number 2, run one A/B test at home. Same content, but different output, like tell it versus write it, sentence starter versus a blank page. Tiny win number 3, camera test one request you say all the time. Turn vague into 1 or 2 observable steps. Tiny win number 4, track one pattern for a week. When does it fall apart? After school, rushed mornings, transitions, hunger, noise. Pick one is enough. There's no extra gold stars for doing more. Here's a question to reflect on. What's one situation this week where you keep thinking won't? And what's one clue you could look for next time to check whether it's actually can't yet? If this episode made something click, here are your next 2 steps. Join the Tiny Wins email list so you can stay grounded in small, doable next steps. Make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast wherever you listen to it so you don't miss out on future episodes. And grab the Big Feelings Decoder from the show notes so you can translate hard behavior into what actually might be happening underneath, without shame, with a few go-to scripts you can use in the moment. I'm really honored to be one of the people cheering you on as you parent your strong-willed, big-feeling kiddo. You're not behind, you're building a partnership, and you're building skills, yours and theirs, one small, doable, tiny win at a time. Until next time, friends.
Thank you for hanging out with me on Psych to Parent. I'm Dr. Amy, your not-so-typical school psychologist, and I'm genuinely glad you're here doing this work instead of quietly white-knuckling it and blaming yourself. Your tiny win from today's episode is simple. Do not overhaul your entire parenting style. Pick one idea, one sentence, or one tiny shift and try it in a low-stakes moment this week. Then notice what changes, even if it is just by 1%. If you want more support, head over to psych2parent.com. You'll find show notes, simple scripts, and parent-friendly guides that go with these episodes. While you're there, make sure you join the Tiny Wins mailing list so you get weekly brain-based tips, real-life examples from my work with families, and first dibs on new workshops and resources. It's the easiest way for us to stay connected beyond the podcast. If this podcast was helpful, it really does matter when you tap follow or subscribe. Leave a quick review or text it to a friend who is parenting a big-feeling, big-hearted kid too. This podcast is for education and encouragement. It is not therapy, and it's not a substitute for individualized care. If you're worried about your child or yourself, please reach out to a trusted professional in your area. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are building something new, one tiny win at a time. I'll see you in the next episode, probably with a cold coffee in hand, cheering you on.